Thanks for staying with us. So, there was a story that caught our attention online about a family who lost a son because the mother refused to pay for medical bills because her husband refused to pay also. So the husband and wife were having issues on who's going to pay. The wife had money in her account, and she didn't want to tell her husband she had money in the account. Husband did not know the wife had money. He said, I don't have money to pay for the medical bills, so about 25,000 naira. So there was this back and forth. You pay. No, it's you pay. No, I don't have money. You pay. Eventually, the child died.
There's a background.
There's a background to that story.
Yes.
Give us the background.
The background to the story is that she's carried a lot of the financial burden within the household. Okay. And she feels her husband isn't responsible financially towards the family. Yes. So she wanted to teach him a lesson that every time there's a need, you'd always know that I'm the person to fall back on. Yes. So this need happened to be their daughter's health. And she didn't release the money, thinking if she withholds, probably he would find a way to raise the cash. Yes. But he didn't raise the cash, and the child died. Then later, he found about 3.6 million naira in her account. So she really lost her phone. And then he got angry. Yes. And the man picked up her phone to receive a call from his mom, and then the alert came on her phone, and she saw over 3 million naira in the account, and that was what all hell broke loose, because obviously you had over 3 million naira and you didn't pay for the hospital bill for your daughter that led to her death. Yeah. So there are lots of factors here. Yeah. There's anger, there's a sense of responsibility, and the fact that because as women, we take on, many of us do that, we feel that it is your responsibility now, that you're not the man of the house, and you withhold what you shouldn't withhold just because you want to prove that point. So, Brian, what are your thoughts when you read this story?
Okay, so first of all, I think we need to also mention that she put this story out, saying that her husband had left the house, and after all, she worked hard for her money. So we need to understand her state of mind from where she's coming from. She was like, it's her money, she worked hard for it anyway, so why is he upset? My thinking is foolishness.
Across the board.
For her, first of all, as a mother, you have been very foolish concerning this particular issue. You have lost a child because of 25,000 naira out of 3-point-something million naira in your account. There are times that you can use situations to make a point. Your child's health is not that situation. You take care of your child. Many times things will come up. She herself said it, that many times he's not shown up. But the health of your child is not the time to be using to tell your husband or make a point about who should bring money or not bring money.
But sometimes a woman uses that because the health of your child is so important that you feel that it's enough to compel him.
No, that's
you feel that that's enough, as a woman, you think that's enough to compel him to find that money from somewhere because he has not been very receptive. Yeah. So in that situation, maybe that's where she was coming from.
Oh, right, this is a new year, and we need to talk some senses to ourselves, as women. I strongly believe that largely a man's role is to be responsible for the family. But I also know that a man's brain is not different from a woman's brain. And a man's capacity to earn is not different from a woman's capacity to earn. And in some cases, the woman of the house might be more financially blessed, and there should be no reason for her to judge a man that is not stepping up. I think that both male and female need to take ownership of the family for the family to work. Here, both of them dropped ball, and it cost them a life. If anybody there's no justification for you to say you want to teach your husband a lesson and withhold money from him at the expense of who? Chris Howe always says that in a family, we are all working towards one goal. We are all on the same team. You are not attacking like you're not scoring a goal against him. The child that died is in your team. So as long as we're saying it as he did something to me, I'm going to show him back. He does not drop money, I will not drop money. Okay, then we are not working on the same team, and we cannot achieve the same goal together.
Before you come into this, to address this issue, but in this case, a child died. But we've seen women do exactly the same thing and get results. Because there's no child involved. But you get to a point where you now say, I don't have the money. And the man then goes left, right, family, and he finds the money, and you compel him. So in this case, it didn't work out because the child died. But would you say that this is a way to get men who have refused to take responsibility? Is this a way to make them see the responsibility that they've not taken?
So let me
again be upset with this woman for making little. The efforts of women who are breadwinners are constantly being abandoned by their spouses and not supported by their husbands. I know women who for their entire marital life are breadwinners. Yeah. I know women who have to feed their husbands along with their children and stay married and, make the home work. I know women who every single day, when the bills come, don't even have where to look but themselves. For her to write this post at the time when she did it and the child died in such an insensitive way is to now make such women who maybe one time in their life decided to find the strength or bravery to stand up to that man and say, if you're not going to do your part in this marriage, maybe there's no marriage, or there shouldn't be one. So yes, it is the height of irresponsibility for her husband to always find an excuse because he knows she'll meet the bills. But then, I know she didn't know this would take the child of the life. And I want to say to her that the child was probably destined to die because that's the place I am now with the death of my dad every morning when I wake. Yes, no matter what you could have done, if a child was destined to go, a person was destined to go, they would go. But then, to still go ahead and put up that post and say you worked for your money is to be insensitive to yourself. So life happens. And we sometimes have to pay for decisions that we take, or the indecisions that we also take, or the lateness to even reach that decision. Yes, we sometimes have to pay. But when things like this happen, please shut up. Don't do a post. Okay, so now, the reality is she's struggling in that marriage. That's the reality. The guy walked out of the house, but probably they're still not divorced. She was struggling in that marriage. They had bills to pay. Even if his bill was half, at all, do something. And if we could not even do something, because it's not for everybody, some people struggle, be appreciative, be kind, yes, to the woman.
So I wanted to say that one thing I find with marriages that don't work, when it gets to a certain point, it's as if men know their breaking points. Men know when to, you see, this is not working for me anymore. And he left because for him, that was the worst thing you could have done to that family, to allow a child to die. You were not angry enough to walk out of your home when your child was left to die. Because according to you, you felt that he had it, but he did not step up to the plate. And that is the problem we have with women. There's a joke that people make now. They say, women in domestic violent homes, what happens? They'll say to you, oh, my husband has killed me now. I'm in the grave. Should I still leave the marriage? Do you understand? So I'm not here campaigning for leaving the marriage. What I'm campaigning for is that you should have something that you will not take. And then you sit down the conversation, this is not going to happen. But you cannot come and say to me that because he has done it so many times, I worked hard for my money over the death of a child. It makes no sense to me. I think you're a very foolish woman for having done that. So even if the child got better, even if the child got better, and you still withheld that money, you still did a foolish thing.
No. Even if the child got better and you had paid the bills, it's still a valid ground to say
you did. No, he paid.
No, I'm just saying
he paid and she got better.
I'm saying her. If she had, been forced to pay and say, even when our child was sick, Oga, you still have this attitude.
Yes.
Maybe because she has strong convictions that he has the money, but he's used to this. My wife will do it eventually when we delay a bit. It's valid ground to say, Oga, I can't continue married to you.
Okay, so
you don't know when to change.
But the proof did not come that he had the money.
No, there's no money that he had.
He's working on the assumption that he can look for the money and pay. But the proof was not that he had the money. The proof was that she had the money. You can deny your husband food. You can say, Oga, I'm not cooking for you in this house again. You will not eat. I will not work for house rent and pay for children's school fees and feed the children. I will not feed you. You can use that one to punish, but not the children's school fees.
Let me play this.
Not the children's health. Some women even use children's school fees. Their children will sit at home for almost a full term, and the women can afford it, but they'll say, it's not my responsibility. In this new year, don't do that. It is a family goal. You will not say my children will go to school because you have the money, but you are saying he must be the one to pay.
I get you clearly, but let me play this game now. Let's assume he saw her bank alert. If he will put his own bank alert open to defend himself that I truly, honestly didn't have it, before he walks out, it will be good. But don't call her witch. Because this is, like you said, a family goal. If it is, I know the way husbands, I have attempted to pay my children's school fees over time, and I always get it back. because my husband considers it 100% his responsibility, even when I'm able to assist. So a man who is not even trying, in Islam, they call it Kawamun Allah Nisai for a reason. But now that the child is dead, you'd love to say, my wife, I saw a bank alert of 3.6 million without showing your account. Angola, the witch.
I want us to move this conversation. Listen, this woman's story, I think we should park it for a second, because the bigger story is that there are lots of women in these shoes, paying bills, and they want to teach their husband a lesson, and they want to compare. And it might not even cost something. It might cost something, you're right. But how do we help women like that in this woman's shoes not to make this kind of mistake? How do you get your husband to participate? How do you, what role do you play as a woman? Where you
already answered the question.
Because many of us have been in that situation.
No, it's a different thing if the man does not have the money. No. Yes. If the man doesn't have the money, he wants to
There's some men that have the money and use the money to drink.
So, then you leave the marriage. You leave. Because the thing is, when you are embittered in a relationship, the result will be things like this, where you lose a child or something, or you lose yourself. So if you are in an embittered relationship, you leave. And I think we should be more compassionate and have conversations and seek consultations. I always say, before you get married, have somebody that your husband, you can report your husband to, somebody that your husband respects. You may never report, but you always that name that so that there's somebody that my husband really cares for. That must always be there for your spouse. But in the case of situations like this, where you find yourself embittered and using things you shouldn't use to teach lessons, please don't do it. Pull out of that.
Let me go to break. When we come back, unfortunately our phone lines are not working, so we'll have to take tweets and Facebook. Please send your message on Facebook, and we'll definitely read it up. Stay with us. We'll be right back.